What does it cost to own and maintain a horse here in Australia? Welcome, and in today's video, let's run through that. I'm going to give you a quick gist and the insight of what it would cost to own just this one thoroughbred. I have many. I've acquired a few. So for today's example, we're going to run off Teddy, because originally when I moved to New South Wales, I only had one before I acquired, or I got two more brought down, then I acquired two others. So how much does it cost to maintain this thoroughbred who's 17, not 17, you're almost 17, 16.1 and 3/8 in height. And he is a picky eater, whereas the others will eat anything and everything that you give them. So for example, also in today's video, I'm not going to include vet bills, lessons, riding lessons, and buying equipment like fancy different coloured saddle cloths, that sort of thing. No, today's a bare minimum cost, just the gist of what it actually costs to maintain a horse. The rest is just frivolous stuff that, well, not frivolous, but you know what I mean. It's just other fluff that just gets added on, and it's not quite essential. Riding lessons and vet bills at the time of it happening, which is spontaneous. That's why I highly recommend creating a vet bill account for when shit hits the fan and you need to take your horse to the vet. So for today's example, we have adjustment or loan repayment if you bought your property and you're paying it off weekly. So for the example of rent for this horse is $100 a week. So the hard feeds, he gets fed pony pellets and chaff. He would go through one bag of pony pellets, which is $25, and then he would go through one bag of loosened chaff over 2 weeks. So that $35 bag would turn into $17.50 for the 1 week. So his hard feed would cost $42.50 per week, and then he would only go through one bale of loosened hay, which is $35 per week. Vaccinations, that's like once a year, the strangles and tetanus vaccination booster, around $45 for one vaccination booster per horse. Dental, around $250 depending on your vet or whoever you get to do the horse. Every horse is different. For a normal horse that is not aged, like Teddy's age, turning 21 in December, he now has to see the vet twice a year, whereas a horse like Jessie, she sees the vet once a year for her teeth. And then we have worming. Worming, I guess it comes down to the owner of the horse. If you're taking your horse out and going to events regularly, it's really important to worm your horse twice a year, or advised by your vet. But I'm going off a $30 wormer twice a year for one horse. That's $60 a year. Then the next thing you have is a farrier visit. So Teddy's barefoot now, so he's $55 per farrier visit. Farrier visits every 6 weeks, so that turned out to be like 8.6 out of 52 weeks of the year, if that makes sense. So I just did 52 weeks divided by 8. Yeah. And that came to $440 a year. So that is just the bare minimum when it comes to owning and maintaining just one horse, a big horse. So ponies, smaller horses, and the condition of your paddock, it's a huge, big variant of different factors. This is not going to be suited to every person out there. You know, there'll be people that don't have to pay rent, don't have to pay loan repayments because either mum and dad own the property or they've paid off their loans and that's good now. All I have to do is rates. That sort of thing. Your horse might not need as much hard feeding as my thoroughbreds do. You might not need as much hay because you have got lots of pasture in the paddock. So things will vary. But it's really important that you, in the budget, when you're penciling out your budget, if you are paying rent, your adjustment and loan payment, hard feeds, pony pellets and chaff, that sort of thing, the hay, vaccinations, worming, and then number 6 is farrier. So they're the brass bones of the skeleton of maintenance listings for your horse. So this horse costs $177.50 per week, and then that doesn't actually include the farrier though. So that's just the adjustment and feeding and hay bill. Adjustment, hard feed and hay bill. And then a year, this is where it includes the farrier, a year is $795 for upkeep. So every horse is completely different. Wherever you can cut corners, but don't cut corners where you shouldn't, if that makes sense. Well, I'm very lucky with the amount of horses I have. I trim their feet myself, and that's how the things start to go bad, like cracks in feet, like Teddy's hoof. That's where I get my wonderful farrier to come out and trim the feet for me. He did trim last visit Shrek and Khataaf for me because they due to the wet and they've got cracks in their feet now. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've wrecked them. Even though he's assured me it's nothing bad, but I just get the expert in to do them, if that makes sense. You just got to sit down and work out what's the best food for your horse's health. Don't feed them cheap stuff that's not going to do anything for their bodies. I'm very lucky. The pony pellet that I buy, it is locally made in Dubbo by the people where I buy my horse feed. His parents own the produce store that produces the chaff and produces the pellets and that sort of stuff. So I'm very lucky. I know not everywhere gets that, and you've got to buy the big name brands, the expensive brands. And yeah, it all comes down to sitting down, working out what's best for you and your horse and its overall health and your budget and what you can do when it comes to, like, well, there's not too much, that list that I've read out, there's not too much else that you can cut corners on. Like, you've got to look after their health, of the worming and the vaccinations, and their teeth. The teeth is so important. And the farrier, you got no horse with no feet. So those things are very, very crucial to your horse health maintenance. So they're all a must. Everything else, like the chiropractor, that's all, massages and all that sort of stuff, that's important too. Body works more, I fully understand, but that's for horses that are in work and you need them to be in prime muscle condition, not hurting, and being able to produce really good workouts in whatever chosen discipline that you work in. So it's really important in that area. Whereas these guys at the moment, none of them are in work, they're just paddock ornaments, and they're not being ridden, so they're not being hurt or pushed through, physical, training and muscling up, that sort of thing. So at the moment, they don't need any of that sort of thing. But if something were to happen and I'm like, oh my God, my horse is injured, the vet goes, okay, you need to do this, this, and this, get this chiropractor out, do this and do that. Chiropractor comes out and, does, okay, we need to do so many sessions because this is the problem, this is what's happened, and this is how we're going to help your horse's body. I would act on that, if that makes sense. So you got to be in that mindset of acting when you need to, but obviously don't incorporate things that you don't really need to unless there's an issue. If that makes sense? Obviously there's good maintenance stuff, but for the bare minimum, the list I've written down and read out to you just now, that's what I highly recommend. When it comes to understanding and getting into your budgeting phase of being a horse owner. Okay, thanks for joining me in my video today. Got any questions? Leave them in the comment section down below. And again, I'm not a financial advisor and I can't tell you what to do. I'm just outlining what it costs for me to own my horse here in Australia. So disclaimer, I take no responsibility for anyone else's equestrian actions given the topics discussed in this video. We just got to lay that out there and make sure that we got that. All right, well, happy horsing. Good luck with all your horse adventures and your dreams and your goals. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye.